Hey, good morning. We are back. Good morning from the office, beautiful downtown Blue Ridge, Sycamore Crossing. I hope you were able to see the piece that Lonnie just played for you. I do want to make a correction. I misspoke. I said it was we were honoring the 19th anniversary. It actually is the 18th anniversary. The piece that was done though was aired 2 years ago in 2017. So I apologize for that, but I'm delighted to be here this morning with Dr. Tidman. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, this segment is going to be brought to you by, I want to get this correct now, North Georgia Cancer Research Center associated with Northside Hospital. Normally asked the doc segment is with Dr. William Whaley, who's traveling with his wife. So Jane will not be here from the All-Star panel, and Dr. Whaley is still traveling, and we're delighted to have Dr. Tidman with us this morning. How are you, sir?
Rick, you mentioned Northside. I just learned a little fact. That little factoid in Canton. They delivered 150 babies there last month.
Holy cow!
They're getting after it. That place is just hopping.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I understand that facility is second to none.
It's just very nice. Yeah.
Very, very nice. So, well, should we get to our first question?
Sure.
All righty. First question is, and I'll run the second part of it together, if you will.
Yeah, run them together.
How long is flu contagious? And how likely am I to get flu even if I get a flu shot?
So it's good timing, that question. The flu vaccines are arriving in most doctors' offices. Pharmacies are starting to get them in, so you can get your vaccine now. Flu is generally contagious from a day or two before you get real symptomatic, which is the problem.
Right.
Because you don't know you're spreading it, to the final fever breaks, to most of your somatic symptoms go away, your gut aches, your muscle aches, stuff like that. While you're running that fever, you're very contagious.
So just stay away.
Just stay away, stay isolated, stay out of public. Now, the vaccine, let's talk about that for a minute. There's several nuances to that question. You can't give a real total, numeric answer that nails it. So let me kind of walk around it for a second. The vaccine is, every year the CDC goes out and surveys what's going on in other parts of the world where the flu is active. They pull 6 or 7 strains out of that are real virulent, that are really making people sick, and they mix those together and create an American vaccine for this season.
So every year a new vaccine is developed.
It's a new vaccine.
Based on what is...
Yeah. So every year that you get a vaccine, you're getting more and more strains of the flu that you are becoming immune to. Having said that,
those strains never leave you once you get them.
Yeah,
if I had a flu shot
around the world dancing.
If I had a flu shot 5 years ago,
yeah,
those strains are in my system.
You're still protected from those strains.
I gotcha.
Right. So, if you could give a group of people the vaccine, and you could expose those people to those strains that are in the vaccine's about 96% effective. Like only 4 people out of 100 are going to get the flu when they're exposed to those strains. But we're not just exposed to those strains. We're exposed to all kinds of strains. They pick the top 7 or 6. In that situation where you're just exposing people in general who've gotten the vaccine, it can be anywhere from 70 to 96% effective because of the other strains. Also, there are certain people who are really immune deficient, or the vaccine wasn't administered quite right, or they had other things going on that make them not build up immunity. But it's pretty effective. Now here's another way of looking at it. We try to get children to take pneumovaxes now. Well, it not only protects the children, but it protects their grandparents.
Pneumovax?
Pneumovax, the pneumococcal vaccine.
Got it.
Prevnar.
Okay.
So when you vaccinate the children, who are the little vectors running around sharing bugs at school, they bring those things home to the family. Well, we see when the children are effectively vaccinated, not only are they protected because they're vulnerable to pneumonia at a young age, the elderly are vulnerable. So we try to get the elderly vaccinated, but they're even protected by the children being vaccinated. So vaccines have a
more far-reaching effect.
More far-reaching effect just on the population, kind of what we talk about, a herd immunity. And that's why we try to get people vaccinated early, particularly the most vulnerable, people that are on cancer treatments or have lung disease or elderly and are debilitated. They need to get their vaccines now.
When you see a patient or a patient calls you and said, "I've got the flu," how long is this going to last? Is there some kind of a magic number?
No magic number. It depends on, if they're
age, condition,
health, and stuff like this. But I mean, I'll tell you, when I was a young person, pre-vaccination periods, in high school, a wrestler and a runner, very, very fit, very, very healthy, I would get the flu and it would be awful. I mean, I'd have it for 7 to 10 days. I'd have high fevers. I'd have severe nausea, vomiting, hallucinations. I mean, I got sick with the flu. So, and I was healthy. So it depends on odd things about how your body responds to that virus.
And then, so that contagious period, you said, is probably maybe 2 days.
A couple days before you really get symptomatic.
And then as soon as that fever breaks, you're probably
good.
clear.
You're good. Yeah.
But anyway, that's going to last 7, could be 10 days.
Yeah.
How does that differ from like an H1N1, the swine flu, or the H2N2?
I mean, here's
are those covered in?
No, I mean, they're not being currently in the current vaccine because they didn't show up in large populations.
But when they did,
they try to cover for that.
Okay.
I mean, take 100 years ago, 1918, the end of World War I, the flu pandemic worldwide was so severe and massive, the population of the Earth actually dropped that year. The flu killed more people than were born that year. That's
even
amazing.
With the plague and everything else.
Yeah,
huh?
I didn't put that back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But just 100 years ago, you had a flu pandemic that was taking out large populations of people.
Right. Now, I don't know whether I should say I'm going to embarrass myself or just tell the truth. I'm not a big flu shot guy. I've never had one.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no relation to this probably, but I've never really had the flu.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what can be said about that, but you do hear sometimes stories about side effects. Oh, what they're doing is they're just injecting the flu at a smaller dose into my body, so I'm going to get a little bit of the symptoms.
So there are two kinds.
Tell me about that.
Okay, so that's a good question. That's not an ignorant question. There are attenuated viruses where they just beat them up really bad, and they're introduced to your body, and your body finishes killing them, and then knows how to kill them. And then there are inactivated viruses where they just shredded the virus. They've got parts of the virus. There's no chance at all that the vaccine's going to give you the flu.
Okay.
You're just getting some of the proteins and stuff, so the body says, okay, well, that's wrong. I need to attack that. Next time it shows up, I'm going to attack it. So for the flu, you're in that second group. Now, I try not to get too high-minded and elitist about this. And, there are people who have their notions about what they should and shouldn't do with their body. My thing is, it's your body, it's your choice, you do what you think is right. I think people need to behave in general that way. So I'm not going to shame you for not getting the flu virus. I might say, hey, you can give it a try 1 or 2 years. If it made you sick, then you've got your own one-off experiment. There's no harm in trying. But I don't try to get on people and say, oh, shame on you for not doing that.
I got you.
I just don't think that works in society in general. So.
Dr. Whaley told me, about the new shingles virus, the new shingles shot.
Vaccine, yeah.
That came out not too long ago.
A year or so ago, yeah. The new vaccine is really...
It's a 2-part vaccine. Yeah. I did get that one.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some of the debilitating effects of shingles.
Yeah.
Especially if you get it around your face and it gets into your eyes.
Well, I had a fellow just
blindness.
last week. He was cranial nerve 7, which is the side of the face,
right
into his ear. I mean, he was in immense pain.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even recover from that.
No, you can have
it'll do permanent damage,
pain.
right?
Yes.
So I mean, so personally speaking, I opted not to get the flu shot, but I opted to get the shingles shot.
Yeah.
And
It's a personal choice thing. I think everything in life needs to be a personal choice thing. It's our freedom.
Exactly.
So,
Tell me about, as long as we're on this, if you will, tell me about a virus that you get, or you get a cold.
yeah.
I don't know if it's a misnomer, but I've been told that once you get rid of that cold, you will never get that same strain again. Is that
pretty
correct?
much true. Unless you got real sick or you had to have chemotherapy or something that knocked your immune system down, then you could get it again.
Yeah.
But your immune system, for the most part, once it's nailed something, it's you're not going to get it again.
I've got twin grandsons who are going to be 5 years old in October.
Yeah.
And it just seems like this guy's getting a cold, then he gets the cold.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, okay, well, they'll never get that cold again.
Right.
And then this guy gets the cold, and he gives it to this guy.
I joke with
It seems like they go back and forth like a ping pong game.
I've joked with my parents that when school starts back up, all the kids go back and they're schooling each other on viruses, because they're all passing them around, sharing them. They all get their runny noses. They bring them home to mom and dad. So that first month or two of kids going back to school is a real sharing their lives.
You get inundated with all the grandparents coming in, right?
Right, you're learning about.
I was
viruses.
with my grandkid and he just killed me.
Yeah.
This segment is being brought to you by North Georgia Cancer Research Center, associated with Northside Hospital. We're delighted to have Dr. Ray Tidman here this morning, and we're going to go to the second question, and we talked about this a little bit offset. Is immunotherapy an option for all lung cancer patients?
So let me defer on that. We're sponsored by Georgia Cancer. They are the gurus of cancer, and anybody that's dealing with a specific cancer and a specific treatment, it's very important that they get those questions answered by their oncologist. And I'd rather not take a shotgun approach to that.
You do well on that All-Star, on the political panel that I watched last night for a few minutes, deferring questions like that.
Yeah.
No, but I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if a patient came into you, you would refer him to a specialist,
sure. If
right?
it's out of my area, and in particular this area, we're talking about individualized treatment, and that's what the oncologists are excellent about, is that they really pick and take that cancer that you're dealing with, where it is in your body at your state in life, and try to optimize the treatment for you. And that's what you get when you go to that kind of oncologist like Dr. Whaley's.
Yeah. This may be a tough question. I don't know. This came to mind. It's, when you talked about seasonality and you talked about the kids going back to school.
Yeah.
Are you seeing anything in your practice now that you say, oh my gosh, this was never so prevalent in years past as it is now? Or
it's
do
interesting
things
you
just
ask
ebb and flow?
Sometimes I think about things I don't see.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Right. Like I don't see constipation like I used to. Constipation is a horrible problem to have. We have so many treatments for constipation now, it's very uncommon. I don't see the foot problems I used to see. People are buying nice shoes with good inserts. By the way, you know what memory soles are for, right? That's so when you go to the refrigerator, you remember what you were looking in there for. So that could be my joke today.
No, I'm waiting for the final piece.
Yeah. So no, we don't.
That's interesting.
Maybe that's from getting a little bit older, but there are things I don't see much in. Now, along that line of things that we do see now, it's some of the addiction stuff going on. Some of the like smoking is way down. People really cut back on their smoking, making up their mind, getting away from tobacco. But this whole vaping thing is
the vaping
scary.
thing is in the news. You've had we've seen some tragic deaths, young people. The manufacturers will tell you that they're not responsible for that. It's all black market stuff.
Well, see, that brings up the whole thing, and this is what I talk about with nutraceuticals. There's a whole class of chemicals that are concentrated that are not regulated. They're not FDA approved, studied, double-blinded, placebo-controlled. It's the Wild West.
So, and they're being abused.
And there are people, shysters and bad actors, putting stuff in things that you're now inhaling directly into your lungs. You don't know what kind of Nimrod messed with that stuff going in your lungs. Why take that risk? I mean, we get really naive as people, particularly young people, unfortunately, thinking, oh, okay, well, it's cool, it's sold in the store, and I paid good money for it, it's got to be okay. Well, no, it's not okay. And there are people who don't really care, putting stuff in things that you're now inhaling into your lungs, and that's right into your bloodstream.
So if somebody really needs that nicotine rush with an e-cigarette,
get it from a reliable manufacturer that's heavily regulated, that's big enough that they're scared to death of lawsuits, that they're going to make sure it's done right.
And didn't the government come in and, like in 2017, freeze everything that the way those e-cigarettes are being manufactured?
Well, actually, they came in and released. It was not 17. I'm losing track of what. Maybe it was 15 or something like
right.
that. It was during the Obama administration. They sort of released and let go on it, saying, well, maybe the vaping of tobacco will get people off the dirty cigarettes with all the crud in them, that they'll just get the nicotine. But you open the door to bad actors, you know.
And you also have, well, you know, anytime something like this happens, it seems like the government wants to treat it with emotion instead of common sense.
Yeah. Or the media, or both.
Yeah.
Can they jack people up, get them upset, get them excited, get some votes out of it, or get some contributions? It is dysfunctional. It's not logical. They don't deal with it with common sense. There are rational ways of dealing with this. It doesn't need to be made into a hysterical thing. But people need to use their brain.
The common sense issue, it seems to me, would be not to penalize the ones that are abiding by
the
rules, because if you shut those people down, then the black market gets even bigger, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, what's your take on some of the opioid things that are coming down these days? Some of the rulings, big pharma.
It's a free for all for the legal profession, and there are a lot of people going to make a bunch of money off. Probably some bad actors. There's some people that should financially pay for their sins, but you know, the tragedy is that there are many patients with severe pain.
Right. And those are the ones that are going to be penalized.
They're going to get punished. And the doctors that are trying to take care of them are now, you know, leery of what they're doing and worried about, you know, how things are going to be handled. So it's swung way to an extreme now.
I mean, you're literally probably almost, maybe the bad choice of words is scared.
Oh yeah,
but a physician
scared, sure.
But a physician now who writes a Schedule II prescription, gotta go,
man, twice.
Man, where's this going, right?
Just 10 years ago, there was a big push in the hospitals to add a vital sign to the patient's vitals, you know, blood pressure, pulse, temperature, pulse oximeter, pain score. And the feds came in and audited hospitals to say, are you monitoring patients' pain and are you addressing their pain? Okay?
So they're pushing the other way 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago it was like, are you taking care of people's pain? Well, now it's like, are you just giving out pain medicines like they're candy? I mean, it's the politicians get a hold of things and it gets really nuts.
Well, that's that same thing again, you know, emotion over common sense.
Yeah.
Can you describe what fentanyl is prescribed for? And
back when I was a young resident, we did obstetrics. You could take nanograms of fentanyl and inject it into a cervix where that's dilating for a delivery.
Right.
Totally block pain. I mean, it's a very, very powerful pain medicine.
Right.
It's given in very, very tiny doses through a patch through the skin, long acting, and controls pain. So it's a very concentrated.
Is that localized pain?
No, whole body pain.
Whole body,
put a patch on a patient, a patch no bigger than this,
right,
and they've got pain control for 3 days.
Wow.
I mean, it's amazingly strong, effective medicine.
Addictive?
It's totally addictive. That's one of the paradoxes. Now, this is something that, getting into philosophy, when you think about it, the very thing that people can suffer from, pain, whether they've been mangled or orthopedically injured or they have some cancer thing going on, that you want to relieve them from, the thing that relieves them from that is extremely addictive. Now think about the paradox of that.
Right.
That our one most effective treatment for things that are bad, pain, can cause other extremely bad things. That's something to ponder and talk about.
Probably, it's a huge challenge in your practice,
in our profession,
in your profession. Yeah. Well, we covered a little bit more ground than just the Ask the Doc questions, but it was great for me. So I
appreciate you.
I appreciate everything that you brought to the table today. We always talk about maybe a joke here or two, maybe something.
I had someone send me a wise thing saying it was a young man trying to ask his dad about ladies, about learning how to.
Is this the birds? This is birds and the bees thing?
That's not a birds and a bees thing, but anyway, the father thought about it for a minute. He said, "Well, son, when you can figure out why a round pizza is put into a square box and served in triangles, then you can understand ladies."
Served in triangles. Mystery of life. The mystery of life.
There you go, right there. So.
Oh, what else is going on? Anything in your life?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
You doing good?
Doing
well?
Doing good.
Good. All right. Well, we always like to finish up with a little humor here. I tell you what, we were around the board today, and it was very. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. We covered some ground today, and I got a lot of my questions answered. But anyway, we appreciate Dr. Tidman being here today, substituting for our regular Ask the Doc panelist, Dr. William Whaley, who will be back with us next week. Again, we want to thank the North Georgia Cancer Research Center associated with Northside Hospital. You gave a shout out to the new Northside Hospital a little bit earlier, didn't you?
Yeah.
I'm
impressed with what they're doing. So
yeah, great facility. Put out they delivered 150 babies last month. Holy cow! That must be something in the water in Canton, huh? Anyway, we thank Dr. Tidman again, and when we come back from this break, we're going to have the All-Star panel. We're going to have Bruce back from a little hiatus, little visit to the left coast. I don't know if he's been sanitized, but we'll talk about that, or desensitized. But and Cindy will be with us this morning, substituting in for Jane. So stick around. We'll talk about a few things that happened last night on the debate, and we didn't have much going on this week. Maybe. All righty. Take us a break, Lonnie.